Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Paramahamsa Parivrajakacarya Ashtottara Shata Shri Srimad Divine Grace Shuddha Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navdeep Dham Ki Jai Purushottam Kshetra Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Iskcon Chicago News Seva Kunj Dham Ki Jai Their Most Merciful Lordship Shri Shri Kishore Kishori Ki Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Spread all over the three worlds, so we take shelter of your lotus feet. Divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana यमुनातीरावनचारे यमुनातीरावनचारे जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudirayet Nashtaprayesha bhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naishtiki Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 2, Text 37. Shri Yama Uvacha Aho Amisham Vyavasadhikanam Aho Amisham Vayasadhikanam Vipashyatam loka vidhim vimohaha Yatra gatastatra gatam manushyam Swayam sadharma api shochanti apartham Aho amisham vayasadhikanam Vipashyatam loka vidhim vimohaha Yatra gatastatra gatam manushyam Swayam sadharma api shochanti apartham Shri Yama Uvacha Aho Amisham Vayasadhikanam Shri Yama Uvacha. Shri Yamaraj said, Aho, alas, Amisham, of these, Vayasa, by age, Adhikanam, of those advanced, Vipashyatam, seeing every day, Lokavidhim, the law of nature, that everyone dies, Vimohaha, the bewilderment, Yatra, from where, Agataha, came, Tatra, there, Gatam, returned, Manushyam, the man, Swayam, themselves, Sadharmaha, similar in nature, prone to die, Api, although, Shochanti, they lament, Apartham, uselessly. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Sri Yamraj said, Alas, how amazing it is! These persons who live in the temple every day somehow cannot get here on time. Oh, I'm sorry, that's somebody. Just kidding. He said, Alas, how amazing it is! These persons who are older than me have full experience that hundreds and thousands of living entities have taken birth and died. Thus they should understand that they also are apt to die, yet still they are bewildered. The conditioned soul comes from an unknown place and returns after death to that same unknown place. There is no exception to this rule, which is conducted by material nature. Knowing this, why do they uselessly lament? Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 28, Avyaktadini bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhananeva tatra ka paridevana. All created beings are unmanifest in the beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when they are annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Accepting that there are two classes of philosophers, one believing in the existence of the soul and the other not believing in its existence, there is no cause for lamentation in either case. Non-believers in the existence of the soul are called atheists by followers of Vedic wisdom. Yet even if, for argument's sake, we accept the atheistic theory, there is still no cause for lamentation. Apart from the separate existence of the soul, the material elements remain unmanifested before creation. From this subtle state of unmanifestation comes manifestation, just as from ether, air is generated, from air, fire is generated, from fire, water is generated, and from water, earth becomes manifested. From the earth, many varieties of manifestations take place. For example, a big skyscraper is manifested from the earth. When it is dismantled, the manifestation becomes again unmanifested and remains as atoms in the ultimate stage. The law of conservation of energy remains, but in the course of time, things are manifested and unmanifested. That is the difference. Then what cause is there for lamentation in either manifestation or unmanifestation? Somehow or other, even in the unmanifested stage, things are not lost. Both at the beginning and at the end, all elements remain unmanifested, and this does not make any real material difference. What does the meaning of the word material here mean? Significant difference. If we accept the Vedic conclusion as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Antavanta ime dehaha, that these material bodies are perishable in due course of time, nityasyoktaha sharirinaha, but that the soul is eternal, then we must remember always that the body is like a dress. Therefore, why lament the changing of a dress? The material body has no factual existence in relation to the eternal soul. It is something like a dream. In a dream, we may think of flying in the sky or sitting on a chariot as a king, but when we wake up, we can see that we are neither in the sky nor seated on the chariot. The Vedic wisdom encourages self-realization on the basis of the non-existence of the material body. Therefore, in either case, whether one believes in the existence of the soul or one does not believe in the existence of the soul, there is no cause for lamentation for the loss of body. In the Mahabharata it is said, Adarshanad ihayataha punascha gataha. This statement could support the theory of the atheistic scientist that the child in the womb of the mother has no life but is simply a lump of matter. To follow this theory, if the lump of matter is aborted by a surgical operation, no life is killed. The body of a child is like a tumor, and if a tumor is operated upon and thrown away, no sin is involved. The same argument can be put forward in regard to the king and his queens. The body of the king was manifested from an unmanifested source, and again it became unmanifested from manifestation. Since the manifestation exists only in the middle, between the 2 points of unmanifestation, why should one cry for the body manifested in the interim? Clear, right? No problem. This is not for us. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The point is very simple. Simple in terms of English, not simple in terms of realization. The point is very simple, that the living entity is in an unmanifest stage, then comes into manifestation, and then goes back into unmanifested stage. And regardless of whether he is in the unmanifested state or manifested state, he exists. Nothing about him changes. What only changes is the manifestation. That he appears, I'm going to talk about what appears means, but appears and then disappears. So if a person knows that behind this manifestation and unmanifestation, the living entity continues, nitya sa uktaha. The soul is said to be eternal. What is there to lament? We don't lose anyone. But then, why is it that before we even get to why, so what does manifestation really mean? So I'm asking you, what does manifestation really mean then? If the soul is always existent, what does manifestation mean? That is correct. It takes on a material body. The material body grows around, if you will, around the living entity into a particular species, in a particular womb, etc. right? And Prabhupada explains in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita that the matter goes through 6 transformations. Do you remember the 6 transformations? Let's start with one. Comes into being, is born. It grows. It produces byproducts. It degenerates. It dwindles, but there's something in between. It stays like that for some time. What'd you say? I waste time, of course. That's the 7th one, but anyway. And then the 6th, it dies. It perishes. It dwindles and it perishes. These 6 transformations is what we call life, as we know it. It has a start, it has an end, and in between does these things, and we manage our whole life, ours and others, around these 6 transformations. So when it is born, everyone celebrates. Not everyone celebrates, because some are born without being wanted, so everyone doesn't celebrate necessarily, right? Everyone doesn't celebrate pregnancy, by the way. Only few people do. Anyway, then there's born, and then there are all these changes. We call this life. Now, what is it about this manifested state that, although it is here he's saying, Yamaraj is saying, that these people are older than I am, they have more experience of life than I do, and they are seeing hundreds and thousands of living entities taking birth and dying. They're seeing it happening every day. They should also know that this is going to happen to them. So why is it, so this is a question posing to the august crowd here, why is it that when it is supposedly obvious, is not obvious? We are under illusion. What is the illusion? But the reality is we can live forever. The illusion is that we think that the body can live forever. That's one illusion. What's the other illusion? They just don't want to talk about it or hear about it. Correct. What else? What is the other illusion? In this context, that is definitely an illusion. I am the controller. That is the case in this situation. Yes. Correct. Correct. We force fit an idea of gross onto subtle. Another thing is, the illusion is we accept that the information that our senses provide us to be factual. What we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we smell, what we touch, we accept that that is truth or reality. So is it real or no? It's real, but it's temporary. Correct. So is it real or no? That's the question. Is it real or no? What do you think, Terence? Is it real or no? It's real? So the senses are really not conceiving anything. The senses are dull. So the soul is perceiving. Because what is the soul perceiving? Reality? So it doesn't exist? It exists. Correct. So what's described is that there are two realms of reality. One is called relative reality, the other is called absolute reality. In the relative sphere or realm, what appears real now will change after some time. In the absolute reality, it never changes. It's always real. For example, today, someone is very powerful and in a position of great power, opulence, all that. That will change. That's what's being talked here. That will change. In the absolute, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that doesn't change. We don't wait for him to retire to say, okay, now that position's open, I can apply for it. Rati Prabhu's brother, Govinda, a good friend, he and I used to have a joke. Every time we would call each other and say, what's up? Or what's new? What's the latest? And every time I would ask him, so what's the latest? He would say, nothing's changed. Krishna is still the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we would laugh. But that's an absolute reality. That doesn't change. Everything else that's on the relative plane changes. That's one feature of the relative reality. Second feature of relative reality, which is very important to know, is what it appears to one does not appear the same way to another person. This is why it's called relative reality. One man's food is another man's poison. What is favorable for one is unfavorable for another. This is important to know because we deal with mostly relative reality. What appears, why is this that what two people see the same thing differently? They have the same eyes, they have the same nose. They have a nose, I can't say same nose, but they have eyes, nose, ears, tongue, skin. Well, different modes of nature, but there is something else that makes everything look different for two different people or two different beings. Our friend. Yes.
As sense objects come in and sort into the mind, raga and dvesha, depending on your samskaras, that we perceive differently. It's like a lens that perceives.
Perfect. Each of us has a mind. Sometimes we question if someone has a mind when they do mindless things, but generally we're supposed to have a mind. And this mind is the interpreter. So although the information comes in is the same, the mind interprets the whole thing quite differently. And what influences the mind to read certain data, input, one way or the other, is by the modes of nature. It's important to understand the mechanics of this because we deal with it. So the mind is influenced by the modes of nature. And how the mind is influenced by the modes of nature is through the medium of the false ego. It's called the identity. I am, and therefore I read information accordingly. Suppose I'm very sad at the moment. I'm not, but suppose I'm very sad at the moment. And I meet some very happy person who's just like, yeah, I'm so happy, so wonderful, How would the person feel? So one person may say, why are they so happy and why am I not so happy? Someone else will say, oh, thankfully I met a happy person. I can be with them and try to become happy. Someone else will say, I like company because I'm miserable. How can I make them sad? Whatever. It depends on the false ego. I am sad. And everything else is interpreted accordingly. So the false ego has one major identity, like the real thing, that I'm human being or whatever. And then that has layers or facets within that. I am happy, I'm sad, I'm intelligent, I am angry, whatever. There is one level of false ego that gives us our basic identity. We don't think, I am an eagle right now. We can't think like the false ego won't allow. Some people do, but very rare. False ego gives a basic identity, and within that, different facets. Okay, so moving along. The problem with here, Yamaraj is stating is, because the senses can only accept reality, that information that they can contact or touch or perceive. And information that's not available to the senses, the mind and the senses assume that that doesn't exist. Because that's all the range of what I can grasp through my senses. So anything beyond that, I say cannot exist. Because the intelligence hasn't functioned in its true nature. So scriptures, here Yamraj, or in our lives the devotees, the spiritual masters, sadhus, they broaden the horizon of our intelligence to say that what your senses cannot accept, reality still continues to exist beyond that. When I was younger, in school, there used to be this question. I'm not wanting to debate that philosophical question, but I'm raising it. When a tree falls in a forest, does it make any sound? If there's nobody there, does it make any sound? Was the question. And some people would go towards, you can't hear it, so it doesn't exist. And some people say, well, it still makes noise, there is sound, we're just not there to hear it. Would you like to change your position so that you don't have to fight the sun? I know my effulgence is really strong, but bear with it. It's borrowed effulgence. So, if whatever the senses cannot grasp, the mind says this doesn't exist. It says doesn't exist. The famous story or the example is that of an ostrich. When a difficulty comes, what does an ostrich do? It digs his head into the sand. And the assumption is, if I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Or a cat drinking milk. Have you seen a cat drink milk? How does it drink milk? Not with the mouth. I know the answer. But there is something about the cat drinking milk. That when it drinks milk or licks milk from its bowl, it closes its eyes. So the idea is, no one's watching. The environment doesn't exist around me because I've closed my eyes. I can't see it, it doesn't exist. This is the fallacy. Number one fallacy. There's another one. Okay? The fallacy is, because I can't see, it doesn't exist. What I can see exists. Not just see. When I say see, it means I can hear, taste, smell, touch, all of that. So it exists. So life as we know it happens within the range of the senses. We can see, touch, taste, smell, hear, until death. And then we don't see. We don't know where the living entity comes from. We don't know where the living entity goes. So our whole range of reality exists between birth and death, unfortunately. So that's one problem. Another problem is that within this range, something happens. Chaitanya Priya, what happens? For which these queens are lamenting. The feeling of loss. Who has a feeling of loss? When do you feel a sense of loss? When you're attached. More important, or more specifically, when you feel you own something. That's when you lose. Suppose, I don't hope so, but let's say Jeremy loses his pen or something. I don't feel the sense of loss. I would have said something, but I don't want to. Okay, so when we lose something, we steal from someone else, so someone else has lost the pen. That's a different I didn't know you lost your pen, I just came up. I was going to say phone, but that's too dear to lose, so I know the pain of bearing the stealing of, or being the loss of a very dear loved one. But anyway, the sense of loss I don't have because I don't have a sense of ownership that something belongs. That pen doesn't belong to me. I don't feel that loss. He may have a sense of ownership, and that's when the feeling of loss is. So as life, yeah. Correct. I'm developing the idea. You're right. Attachment is the right answer. I'm just developing it to smaller. So the sense of ownership means that one has what we call attachment to it. It belongs to me. So these two, we have known, this is not something new I'm sharing. Once we have a sense of identity, I am, from the false ego, what comes along with it is what is mine. So the whole range of life, as we know, is about deepening the sense of mine. My friends, my country, my family, my soccer team, my money, my house, my car, my children, my clothes, my ideas, my. Is that necessary? Actually, this is why illusion works. Because if a person doesn't have the sense of mine, this illusion just goes poof. It's a smoke screen. Right? Agree or disagree? Okay. We may not have realizations, but we have example from Bhagavad Gita in the life of great persons. That smoke screen it vanishes. As long as the sense of my exists, the illusion continues. This is why Krishna in the 15th chapter, because we've been recently we were discussing 15th chapter with some devotees, Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivritta kama dvandvair vimukta sukha dukkha sangyair gachanti amuda padama vyayam tat. It's a brilliant verse. Who am I to say? But it is Krishna's words. It says this whole material world is an illusion. It's a reflection of an upside down tree. And in Sanskrit it's called Ashwatha. Ashwatha means banyan tree. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur tells us or interprets the word Ashwatha. Shva and Stha, when they come together, it's called Shwatha. And Shwatha means having a tomorrow, having another, not fixed here, having a future. And Ashwatha means not having a future. That means everything is temporary. So this material world applies to both the spiritualist or the devotee and the materialist. For the spiritualist, the sense of tomorrow doesn't exist because now they are on the spiritual realm. One who realizes this is on the spiritual realm. And for the materialist, the sense of no tomorrow means whatever you have today, it will not be there tomorrow. Very nice explanation by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Krishna says that the way to become free of the entanglement of this banyan tree is to cut it by the weapon of knowledge. So you have an axe and you have to cut the tree. But when you hit it, if you're not holding the axe strongly enough, you cannot make a dent in the tree, or the axe will fall off. Correct? Or if the axe is not sharp enough, it doesn't matter how many times you hit, nothing comes from it. So what makes the axe sharp and gives us the strength to hold it is this verse, Nirmana. One should be free of pride. Moha, illusion. Jita Sangha Dosha. He should be free of the fault of thinking that he owns something. So Mana and Sangha Dosha, these two, this is I and mine. And right in middle is Moha, illusion. It's this illusion that makes the sense of I and mine. So Krishna says, Nirmana Moha, Jita Sangha Dosha. And Adhyatma Nitya, the one should try to stand on a spiritual ground or grounding. Dvandvair Vimukta, one who can see the dualities of life and be free from it. Such a person is Amudha, he is not bewildered. Here he is talking about bewilderment. Vimoha. One is free of that bewilderment and he can cut the tree down. So knowledge, the reason Yamaraj has come as a little boy and speaking to these queens is to help them see that reality exists beyond what the senses and mind can hold. And that's the first lesson of spiritual life, isn't it? What does Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita? The very first lesson. You, myself, and all these kings have always existed, are existing now, and continue to do so individually. That's the first reality. And second, what you see goes through transformation, but the soul remains eternal. And third lesson, while you try to figure that out, Arjuna, just tolerate the dualities of life. And one who learns to tolerate becomes a candidate for liberation. This is verses 12 through 15. Very simple, logical. That there is reality beyond what you know. Tolerate what you see because you understand that there is something beyond. So when you understand that, Krishna says, and here Yamaraj is saying, there's nothing to lament. The change of dress is what is happening. And then Prabhupada writes that there are two categories of persons, the atheist and the spiritualist. Both don't lament. So recently I heard one nice devotee explain that in this world there are two categories of people who are always blissful. One category is the Paramahamsas, the spiritually advanced persons. They're always blissful. Doesn't matter what's the circumstance, they're always blissful. Who's the other category who's always blissful? The completely foolish, ignorant. They're also always blissful. They have no worries of anything. So who's the one who's suffering? The one who's the practitioner. Because we know something, but we don't have the realization yet. It's the sadhaka who struggles the most. So it's nice to be ignorant, because we can't be Paramahamsa, blissful, so better to be ignorant, no? Why the struggle as sadhaka? Because the bliss, both are blissful, no doubt, but the category of bliss, what this bliss is not that bliss, is different. So ignorant is also very blissful. Like he was saying, that in school there are two types of persons who are always like no tension about anything. One who always scores the A and is the topper of the class because they are well prepared, they are not under any stress. Most cases. And the other who knows is always going to fail, never under any stress. It's the one in between who's really trying to get through. That's the one who's struggling. So ignorance is bliss, true. But that bliss is different. That bliss is different because that person is numb, if you will. Numb to real happiness. Because when you're numb, you don't face suffering. That's a bliss, definitely. Absence of suffering is blissful. But presence of blissful activities and blissful relationships is a different thing. So Yamaraj is taking the queens from the suffering condition to the not suffering condition. So he's appealing. It's not like he's heartless, but he's appealing to something beyond what they can only see. Oh, this was our king. We loved him very much. He was very nice. And look at his bodies here. Head cut off, pierced with arrows and blood strewn all over. We have lost something, someone. So the sense of loss is because there is the attachment. That attachment is the sense of ownership. So we are asked, right, in spiritual life, we are asked to learn a lesson. And that is, better to learn it by hearing about it than to learn it the hard way. The hard way is, whatever we hold as ours is going to go away. There is no exception to this rule. That's what he's writing here. No exception whatsoever. So you better learn it now or learn it the hard way. Choice is given. You choose whichever way you want to learn, up to you. But you better learn this lesson, because that's what the Bhagavad Gita or Yamaraj is saying. Because if you, or now I'm speaking as we, if we don't learn this lesson, what happens? We will suffer, yes. What else? Mrityu samsara vartmani, which means we will continue till we learn it. Krishna is not giving us the option that it's all right if you don't learn it, it's cool. He will teach us the same lesson again and again, lifetime after lifetime, till we learn it. Lifetime after lifetime, till we learn it. And if you don't learn it, this lifetime, no problem. Many lifetimes are there. You've been quite a F student for many, many lifetimes. Birth after birth, birth after birth. Not learned the lesson. Now is the opportunity. Do you want to learn it or no? No. Fine. One more time. But the lesson will definitely come. Whatever we think is ours will go away. Either someone will take it, or the jaws of death will definitely take us. Very important to learn. So what happens is, through life, this is how we hear it. When we are born naked. We don't own anything, correct? Nothing. Born naked. And when we die, we do wear some things depending on which country you die in. But in most, we die naked. I think here they dress up and close the casket and stuff, but usually it's nothing on the body, literally. But in between birth and death, we're very busy making things our own. This is life. People are busy making things their own. Mine. And all of it is yanked away from us, including this body which we think is mine. And that's the hard reality, unfortunately. Or fortunately, actually. Depends. And that's what Yamaraj is speaking. That these people should know, but they don't. Okay, any comments or questions you want to add? Yeah, Jeremy? Oh, hold on, we'll get you a mic. Oh.
So in the purport it talks about like the manifest and the unmanifest
Uh-huh.
stage. And in Bhagavad Gita, I think Krishna says that during the night of Brahma that the living entities sort of merge into Krishna. And I was reading in Surrender Unto Me that this is like a naturally uncomfortable state for the jiva. I was wondering like if you could give some insight into that state, like does the jiva experience anything during that time? Or
Think of a coma.
Okay.
I mean, we don't know what coma feels like, but think of person who's in a coma condition, comatose. It's artificial, it's unnatural, because a person is meant to be active. Or something closer to that is deep sleep. Of course, sleep is not unnatural, but it's considered unnatural in the sense because there's no activity. So it's like a deep sleep state.
But no matter what, even like with impersonal liberation, there isn't truly a merging into Krishna where there's
That's
a loss
different.
of identity.
Those two are different.
Okay.
The suspension in Lord Vishnu's body during the night of Brahma is a state of complete ignorance.
Okay.
And being in Brahman is a state of awareness. It's two different things.
Okay.
One is very aware and free of any suffering in a conscious state. See, one is free of suffering in an unconscious state also. Suppose I have a lot of problems and I drink something, some alcohol or drug myself to forget the whole thing. I'm unconscious of the suffering. As long as I'm unconscious, I'm happy. The other state is I'm very conscious, but I don't have any suffering. So Brahman liberation is that. I'm aware, I'm conscious, but I don't have any suffering because I am free of this sense of attachment.
Okay. So in what sense is that merging into the body of the
Because
Lord?
Krishna's effulgence is Brahman, the sense of oneness with the Lord. Therefore it's merging. It's oneness. He is spiritual, I am spiritual entity. That's the oneness. And in that, there is no suffering because I'm not playing into this game of birth and death and holding on this is mine. I'm in a stage of neutrality. Nothing belongs to me. I'm neither happy nor sad. I'm an eternal living being. I'm spiritual by nature. That's great relief. That's the whole, it's called the effulgence of Krishna because that's what Krishna emanates, the sense of always spiritual energy, that is who he is. Now beyond that is, okay, now I have to do something, there's some activity in my spiritual nature. That's when you go beyond Brahman into service or act in relationship with Krishna. That makes sense? Okay, thank you. Anything? Justin, you have? Jitendra Prabhu, you have something? Okay. And then
few catchphrases that we kind of use in Iskcon. Came to mind. You can think on them as you like. I remember one: "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder."
mm-hmm.
So, why is there a red car and a blue car? It's because people have different desires according to their modes of nature they have acquired.
Right. And their sense of beauty varies according to the modes of nature.
And then we say, what is Krishna consciousness? Reality distinguished from illusion for the benefit of all. Yeah.
So in that phrase, there are two things which are very important. Reality distinct from illusion.
Yes.
Now that's important, but even more beyond that is for the benefit of all.
Right.
So Bhagavatam is both. Reality distinct from illusion for the benefit of all.
Yes. And then we talk about, in the Ishopanishad it said, everybody should take his quota, which is set aside from him, and not encroach upon one's somebody else's. So certain things, and then if we don't, then it's like improper renunciation.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you remember that one example given? A person walks into the bank and says, all this money here is mine, but I renounce it.
Srila Prabhupada would say, if you stand in front of American Express Bank and say, I renounce this bank, you're fool number one. It's not yours in the first place.
Yeah. And, then, you talk about coma, I remember, I think Srila Prabhupada said Winston Churchill, when he died, he went into a coma before he died, he went into a coma for a long time. And I remember reading in the Bhagavatam, I think, that if somebody goes into coma before death, it's the Yamadutas are indecisive on where he's going to go.
Yamadutas are?
They're indecisive on where he's going to go.
Okay.
Because he's so sinful.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, that's just...
My father was in a coma before he died. And it was very interesting that by the time I reached, I couldn't, even if I had to say anything to him, I couldn't get to him. We tried pinching him, shaking him to see if breathing was very obvious, but no expression of life. And when Radhika Raman Prabhu was speaking, I was thinking at that time I had to tell my father, whether he heard it or not, I had to tell him, I'm very happy. If you have to leave, please leave. Don't worry about anything. And you were an amazing father. I'm very grateful to you. Just so that there's no sense of, there is something unresolved. If I had said, you were a lovely father, what have you done? These things are unresolved. They're very nice. Just leave, holding his hand, chanting. And the sound he said that comes in the last 3 breaths, I saw it. It was really, I didn't know how to recognize it, but it was really nice. And then the body just stops.
I think I remember you saying you had a certain relationship with your father, kind of like Dhritarashtra.
Well, he was very loving.
Okay.
But that would definitely make me Duryodhan, which there is reality to it.
Well, thanks, Prabhu.
Okay, thank you. Terence?
Haribol, Prabhu.
Haribol, nice to see you.
Thanks for giving class. It's been a while. My point, basically, we hear it so often that for one who comes to the stage of devotional service or acting or performing and Krishna consciousness, if we don't, or if we're not successful in this life, then we have our next life, we'll get a better situation.
Get a better situation?
Or, well, not
we'll
perhaps
get
a better
a situation.
Well, in
The
a
Bhagavad
sense-
Gita says that a yogi, is that what you're referring to?
Well, yeah, I was basically, my point is that it's often said that if we don't get an opportunity in this lifetime for whatever reason, that we can get an opportunity in the next lifetime just by engaging in service. But it's often said or lamented on that if you don't finish whatever your duties are in this life, or if you don't come to a stage of realization of what your relationship is with God, then you'll have to take birth. But it's almost in a sense where we're lamenting over taking birth, and these 2 points contradict each other. If the process of devotional service is so rare, and one coming to that stage who gets an opportunity for whatever reason, if they're not successful, it would seem almost more of a benefit if I don't finish for whatever reason in this life, that I'll still have an opportunity, as opposed to I have to take birth again. And it's more lamented on from that standpoint. So maybe you can
Sure.
speak on that point a little.
Before that, can I try to say something funny? I don't know if it'll be funny, but you said it's been a while. I was going to ask you, it's been a while since I spoke or since you came, or both? Anyway. Both. I'm being funny. Think of it this way. The life of Lord Brahma is 311 trillion years in human terms. And what is that in relation to Lord Vishnu? That's it. So that one inhale, that's the life of, or one exhale, that's the life of Brahma. One inhale, everything's done, wrapped up. So in that sense, time is relative, right? You know that joke? There's a guy who prayed to the Lord and said, "Oh my Lord, you are so rich, right? So you have so much money. What does a million mean to you?" And God said, "Oh, it's like a penny. That's all it means to me. It's a penny." So then he said, "Can I please have that penny?" And God said, "In a moment." So what is Lord Brahma's life? Nothing. One Brahma, 2, 3, 4, 5, one after the other. This is nothing. Now, in that little moment, for millions of lifetimes, we've been taking into all these birds, and we have one window open. It's like a sci-fi movie. One window of opportunity open called the human form of life, in which we found a devotee, in which we've tried to practice Krishna consciousness, and that window is very small. How to make it? Right? How to make it? So there's always this sense of, I got to make it before I take birth again. So the process of devotional service is such that we break the line, we break everything and get through, because it expands time differently. Now, taking birth again, having not complete devotional service, not completed devotional service, gives us an edge, if you will. Gives us a quote-unquote better situation. We're born in the family of a Brahmin or in the family of a very aristocratic person. For a person who's broken or not completed when they were immature in their yoga path. Still, it's a great place to be, in a Brahmin's house or in an aristocrat's house. Why? Because in both places, the basics of life one doesn't have to worry about. Where my food come from, where's the money going to come from, how much debt I have to finish off, all that worry is not there. Or one who's more mature but didn't make it through, they're born in the family of devotees. Fantastic. Because from the time they come into this world, there's the deities, there's the holy name, there's Mahaprasad, everything is to their advantage. There's only one thing that's to their disadvantage. You want to guess? There's no guarantee. There's absolutely no guarantee that they will make it either, with all the best opportunities. Because they have to re-choose Krishna. Okay? And for them to re-choose Krishna, there is this whole ignorance covering that choice that they have to uncover all over again. So the Shastras say, don't wait for that chance. Again, if it happens, it happens. Most likely it will, but don't live that you will get that. Sometimes devotees say, I'm not able to finish my 16 today. I will do them tomorrow. Whatever is remaining, I'll do them tomorrow. The answer is very simple. If today you cannot do 16, can you do 18 tomorrow? Does it make sense? Can you do 20 tomorrow if you can't do 16 today? It's like that. Oh, then I have to give up something. I won't do that, or I won't go out on books, or I won't do my service because I'm now to then you skirt your duty, for which there is reaction. You get the idea? So yes, there is a better chance. There is a chance again. There's an opportunity again. But then the tide is also against you, because that will be the next yuga, whatever that yuga is. And we'll have to start all over again to make up to where we had left off. It may be faster, but still not worth it. Therefore, Shastra says, don't bank on that. It may happen, but don't bank on it. Don't bank on, I have another life. I have another opportunity. The other opportunity will only come if in the next lifetime you will meet devotees. Until then, it's in its dormant state, waiting till you meet a devotee and you accept that devotee's instruction. Until then, it will not manifest again. That's the risk. So I said, don't take that risk. Yes, there's opportunity, but comes with risk. Like anything, opportunity comes with risk. So we try as much that we can get there, to get there this life. The same principle, but it was done badly by, what's this guy's name? King Augustine? That was his name? Constantine. Who poured hot lead into the mouths of people who said that there is another life. Because he was afraid people will think that I don't have to become fully realized in this life. I have another chance. So he said there is no other birth. He changed the Bible or the teachings in a sense to get people to become serious in this life. Of course, it was done horribly, but is that okay? Does that address your... And Sthira, you had something? We'll close in 2 minutes, but go ahead.
How can one distinguish attachment to, say, like, are we really becoming detached to a particular thing, or are we still attached, or it is like pretending to be not attached? So how to distinguish this in our own heart?
How to distinguish our own pretense? We know whether we're pretending or not? We don't know? Well, how to distinguish whether I'm attached to something or not? It depends on what I experience when I actually lose it, or I have a fear that I will lose it. What happens at that time? Or I have a sense that I might lose it. Krishna says, Sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodho vijayate. Krodha is anger. So when I am attached to something, that the sense of losing it manifests as anger. That krodha, anger, includes pain. anxiety, blaming, a whole set of things. It's not just things, even persons. What kind of attachment? And another aspect of that attachment is that we cannot share with anyone, we can't give to anyone. So, am I pretending? That's a question to ask ourselves. Am I pretending? Or pretending actually means not that I'm pretending, but what perhaps your meaning is, am I fooling myself that I'm really detached when I'm not detached? So then Krishna will tell us, give us a chance, give us a little quiz, test, for us to know. Sometimes we think, right? Yesterday as part of my training, I'm supposed to write a test on basic accounting and finance. Okay, I'm supposed to watch some videos on finance, just didn't feel like watching them, and then answer some questions. So I quickly watched the videos and I had to go back to what finance and accounting I remembered. I got 4 answers wrong because I thought I knew what is retained earnings. I mean, who remembers that? So I thought I knew. Krishna tested and I realized I didn't know. So I may be going around thinking, I'm quite detached, I'm advancing. Little test comes and Krishna tells us, yeah, you're not A grade but B plus or C minus, or hey, this time in this situation was an F. Sometimes we know, but we don't remember, we don't know what to do. It's like that. Does that make sense to you? Okay, thank you. We'll end. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Shri Shri Bhoga Seva ki jai. Only 2 people said jai, I'm noticing. I know.
That was going to be my line too.
Huh?
I was going to say it too.
Oh, it was going to be your line? Bhoga Seva ki jai? Oh, I'm so sorry. I took away your thunder. Stole your thunder.
Oh, I'm stuck.
Hari Bol, my Kadma Prabhu. Welcome back. Thank you. Nice to see you. Were you there?
No, I was there. So I was just trying to attend to meet Rasika Mataji and others, and I was trying to get a number.
You know, my phone didn't have international roaming by the time.